Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? I know there's nobody watching currently, but hopefully there will be shortly. If you're watching on the replay, say hello, please. I'd love to have a chat with you. So firstly, sorry, I have not been live for a while, but just to introduce myself for those that haven't been here before, my name is Ness Jones. I work with separation anxiety clients. That's all I focus on is separation anxiety. So, you know, I don't work with other dog behavior problems. I have done in the past, but I just don't anymore. I just focus on separation anxiety, and I think that helps me better with my clients. That is what I'm tuned into, and I do work with clients all around the world. But today, the reason for today is twofold. One of them is that I want to give you I've got a special announcement. So, and you're hearing it here first, basically. So I wanted to tell you about a new membership program I have coming up, and this is your opportunity to get on the waiting list. In early December, it might be mid-December if we have to push things back, but it will be launched either the first week or the second week of December. That's the plan. And I really, really hope that you guys would be interested in this. So it is going to include a special training app that will enable you to, it will take, so many of you that try to do the training probably have a really good idea of the training, have a good concept of it. Maybe you don't actually get it quite right, to the detriment of your dog. It's not your fault. It's confusing. It can be really confusing. You know, you have a good idea of what the training should look like, but actually putting it into practice is completely different. And that applies to everything, doesn't it? So, you know, if you're trying to learn a complex skill, it's not always that easy, is it? So I think, you know, I'm a monkey see, monkey do, or just give me the steps. Don't give me the concepts, give me the actual steps, and then I will do them. So that is what this app is going to be all about, and I think you're going to love it. And I'm very, very, very excited about launching it. So that'll be great for you in your training. But the membership program that I'm going to launch will also have some really great information for you as well, and I'm going to have guest speakers, and it's going to be so much fun. So there's going to be a lot of information. It won't just be separation anxiety related. We'll have guest speakers on health and nutrition, and maybe anxiety as a whole, or how to use essential oils, or possibly music, or maybe you've got other behavior issues with your dogs. Maybe your dog has got leash reactivity. So I'll be bringing in experts from other fields to help with that. So I'm really excited. There's going to be so much. It's going to be jam-packed full of stuff for you. So the good news is the founding members, the first 100 members are going to get a discount for the first 3 months. So you can come on board. It's a monthly subscription, and it's only going to be $29 US a month. Thereafter, after the first 100 members have signed up, it will go up to $39 a month, which is still going to be an amazing, amazing bargain. So obviously it's not open for enrollment yet, but there is going to be a waiting list. So if you want to be on that waiting list, you need to email me at Ness. I'm going to put it in the comment section, nessjones.com. And in the subject line, so that's the email. I'll just, pop it there. That's the email. And in the subject line, you'll just put waiting list in subject. So I can't type. Subject line. That's all you have to do. Put waiting list in the subject line that you would like to be considered as a founding member, and you're prepared to come on board. First 100 get the $29 per month. Bargain, absolute bargain. So I shall just. So that's the email, and that is what you need. Just put waiting list in the subject line. Now, I'm wondering why there's nobody watching, so I hope this is working. I don't know. It doesn't appear to be working. That's really, hopefully, I know I can see there's nobody watching. I'm just going to refresh this, and hopefully somebody will come on board. It says I'm live, so I don't know. Hopefully you guys will join me soon, but I'm sure you can watch the replay anyway. So that being said, I'm very, very excited. I really hope you guys jump on board. Make sure you get in for the first 3 months at $29 per month. Bargain, absolute bargain. So first 100 people get that for the first 3 months. So moving on, some questions. We've had some questions come in, so I want to go through some of them. One of them was from Barbara, and Barbara writes, she's heard about recommendations for covering windows for dogs with film or shutting the blinds so the dog can't see out the window. She asked me, is this something that you advise? My thought is that it is only managing the situation and not really teaching him anything and maybe creating more frustration. And then she says, he only reacts to one dog who lives across the street. Other than that, he puts his chin on the sill and watches the world go by. So, Barbara, that's a great question. It really depends on your dog. And yes, it can cause more frustration. So I would trial it. If there is really only one dog that he reacts to, is it that concerning? If he enjoys watching the world go by, then I would probably suggest that might be the best thing to do, the best course of action. If he is reacting to this one dog, then what can we do about that? Or if you're not there and he's reacting to that dog, it's kind of what happens next. Like, how long does that reaction go on for? Maybe once the dog is gone, is he able to resettle after that? Or are we seeing escalation of behavior, which obviously isn't ideal? So the big question mark is, what is going on afterwards? If you feel that covering up that window is going to cause more problems, make him more frustrated because he can't see out, then I wouldn't do it. The only time that, if it's really a problem, if he's carrying on about everything, if he can't resettle, then yes, you do need to look at it. But is there a way maybe that you can try blocking it and just see what reaction you get, see what happens? Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. I don't think, honestly, just from what I'm only taking this on what you've written, but it sounds to me like the problem isn't that bad. So he reacts to a dog, and then if he can resettle, that is the big question. If he can't resettle, then maybe it is something you have to look at, but otherwise I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about it. But it's a decision for you, and it is a bit of a big question mark. So yeah. I know there was people that said they were going to come, and I'm wondering where everybody is. Okay. Well, I guess the time, it's always so complicated with the time. People get confused, so I totally get that. Yes. Okay. I'll carry on anyway. Hopefully I've answered your question, Barbara. Now, this is actually, before I do this one, I'm going to go to a different question. So yesterday I did a webinar for the Dachshund Rescue Australia group, which was great fun. And one of the questions came up I thought might be relevant to some of you in this group. So I thought I'd cover it again here. A lady called Mary writes about her Dachshund Lulu, who was a rescue, fitted nicely into the family, and they already had a male Dachshund. Or Dachshund. How do some of you say it a little bit differently? The Americans, I think. Anyway, Lulu's a little bit anxious anyway. I did ask her if Lulu had generalized anxiety. That was a little bit of a question mark. But since Rodney passed away a few weeks ago, unfortunately, she cries a lot when she can't see Mary in the home. Even though there are other people there. So she seems to have attached herself to Mary. And she follows Mary everywhere. And if Mary goes out, Lulu sits at the gate crying. So my response to that is a couple of things. So if the dog is generally anxious, scared about the world, it may be a candidate for medication. Now, I am not I don't believe all dogs with separation anxiety or displaying separation related behaviors are candidates for medication. I'm not one of those people. Some dog professionals are, if the dog's not on medication, they actually literally refuse to take them as clients. And I really, really don't agree with that. But if a dog is suffering from generalized anxiety and, they step foot outside the door and they're scared of the world, they may be a candidate. It may be something in their genes or what have you. They may be candidates for medication. Now, I'm not a vet, so my suggestion is talk to a vet and just see what the vet says. So that was my first thought. Sounds like because Rodney has passed, that Lulu has become super attached to Mary. In this case, I would try to get Mary to bond with other people in the household. So that might be, I imagine Mary is the primary caregiver. I think that's where we got to with the discussion yesterday. If that is the case, then we need to get more people involved in Lulu's life. So that might be Mary taking a little bit of a back step and Lulu, other people taking Mary for walks, taking Lulu for walks. So Lulu gets to go out with other people in the household, gets fed by other people, played with, trained, etc., etc., etc. So she learns that Mary's not the one and only, that she can actually be comfortable when Mary has to go out and do other things. The third point I wanted to say is when one dog passes and the other one seems to become more unsettled, it can sometimes be a good time to think about getting another dog. However, if you didn't want another dog, don't go and get one just for the sake of your dog. But if you were considering it, then maybe foster to adopt, because obviously bringing a new dog into the home can be problematic if they don't get along. So you don't want to create an environment where Lulu's really, really upset because she doesn't like the other dog, but you're stuck with it then. So I would maybe consider fostering to adopt and making sure everything's happy and they all get along. And it might just be the thing that helps Mary. So there's some points, and hopefully that is helpful to anybody else that may be going through something very, very similar. Okay, so now I've got this very, very long post from an anonymous member. They have a 19-week-old puppy and they're struggling with separation anxiety. Now, the first thing is 19 weeks is very, very, very young. So they're babies. So consider a toddler or even younger than a toddler. Very hard to leave these dogs by themselves. So just be aware of that. They're just babies. They're not adult dogs, and we have to be really mindful of that. So at night, she falls asleep between 8 and 9 and wakes up between 6:30 and 7. That's really good that you've got that time up your sleep. She's perfect at night. Most puppies that age, they sometimes get restless during the night because they need to go out because they've got little bladders. But yes, that's great that you've got that time. Sleeps in her crate, which is in the kitchen. No moaning. Brilliant. That's really good. During the day when she falls asleep, I say bed, and she goes into her crate. Excellent. She would sleep for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then she wakes up, yawns a couple of times, which is a sign of anxiety. No, so if she is yawning because she's just woken up, that's really, really normal. All dogs do that, and so do we. Think about when you've just woken up, what do? You might have a big stretch and a yawn. So I would not say that as anxiety. I think you don't have to worry about that at all. Then pause her crate a couple of times. Yes, she probably needs to go to the toilet because she's only a baby. And what do we do when we're puppy training? As soon as they wake up, they need to go out for wees and poos maybe. So that makes a lot of sense. Then looks around a little and starts whining. She may be whining because she needs to go out. Or she just might need some company because she's a baby. When I first started, I couldn't get her to settle for 5 minutes in her crate. She would howl, bite the crate, tip her bed upside down, and can't cover her crate as she puts a blanket in. When I first got her, I did try popping upstairs for 1 minute whilst she had free roam of downstairs and she would toilet. Yeah. So this has massively improved. Yes, you've got to remember she's just a baby. So all that sounds pretty normal. Yesterday, I tried leaving her crate open and leaving her in the kitchen with the door closed. Okay. The first time was good and she lasted an hour and 40 minutes. She mostly stayed in the crate, wandered around and went out and went back in and slept around an hour and 40 minutes. She rang the bells on the door and wanted a wee. Cool. I tried again yesterday afternoon and she only lasted 40 minutes. She can do an hour and 20 in the crate. And she was pacing around the kitchen, kept going to the kitchen door and tried pushing it a couple of times and kept ringing the bells to get my attention. I let her out the first time as I thought she wanted to toilet. When she wouldn't go, I brought her back in and she kept, I think they're leaving. Okay, it's a bit weird. I'm not sure what you're saying there. So, okay. Oh, okay. She kept leaving the crate. Okay. As she will either be in her crate or in the kitchen. She cannot see me leave. So do I just practice leaving multiple times out the front door while she has free access downstairs? Do things like draws a ball, draw desensitization. You could do some draw desensitization for sure. Also, with people around, shall I practice me leaving and her watching as well? Oh, just turn that off. Also, with people around, shall I practice me leaving and her watching as well as me just leaving and her being by herself? As she has a hyper attachment towards me. So if she has hyper attachment, try and get more people involved in her life. I imagine you're the primary caregiver. As I said with the last person, if there is an element of hyper attachment, we just need to get more people involved in their lives and get them to bond with other people and learn to be with other people. Hyper attachment. What can I do inside and outside the house to help with this, please? If I go upstairs, she will wait at the baby gate and my partner can call her and play, or she'll settle with him. But shall I just practice this multiple times? Also, how do we tackle this outside? As outside, she is even worse if I walk away. So outside, I would use food for being outside. So if your partner's with her, you would take one step away and maybe he gives her a treat, take 2 steps away. The thing with all of this, for everything you're saying, I think you might be trying to rush the process and that's why she's not coping. So I would break it down into smaller steps. An hour and 20 minutes is quite a long time, hour and 40 minutes. I would be giving her some really easy wins, really short absences, and then gradually building. But try not to rush it, because if you go from, I'm just going to throw some, maybe she was alone for 5 minutes and the next time was half an hour, that's a huge gap. That's a huge jump. So I think you need to really break it down into little itty bitty parts, not such big jumps. We also have baby gates. So shall we shut her in the kitchen at times when she can see us in the front room so she gets used to more alone time? That's a really good question. I don't like forcing independence. If she's in the kitchen and she can see you and she's freaking out, you're not achieving a single thing. I never force independence on my dogs when they're pups. I just let them do it naturally. And I find as they grow up, as they get older, as they mature, as they become teenagers, think of a teenage child compared to a 3-year-old. Teenagers want less and less to do with you because they want to find their own independence, especially, a confident dog will find their independence on their own, whereas, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, they want to be with you. That's just them. So I don't force it, but they still can have alone time, but I do it in a manner that is kind and gentle and they're not freaking out, because again, if they're freaking out, you're undermining all that home alone time or even time away from you, because like I said, what are you achieving by doing that? It's really tough as she has separation anxiety and hyperattachment, so I'm trying to work on both. We go away next month. My brother will be staying here, but I'm trying to do as much as possible. I will also have to start going to work once a month, although someone will be here. I really need to progress with her separation. Okay, so reading this, the last little bit sounds like you're feeling pressured, and that's not going to help the situation because you're probably a little bit stressed about it, and that will flow onto her. It's good that your brother is staying there. Look, I honestly think you need to help your little girl bond with more people other than you. That will break that hyper attachment. So maybe you play less of a role in her life and get more people to step in. So that will help. You can't rush the process of dealing with separation anxiety. You have to do it slowly, unfortunately, and it takes time. And if you push too hard too soon, it's to have the opposite effect of what you're trying to achieve, unfortunately. So break it down into little itty bitty steps. And you would be the perfect candidate for my app, which comes out in December, which breaks it down for you. It gives you those steps that you need. Unfortunately, we're not ready yet. It's still in development. It's going into beta testing this month. And then they'll have to do any tweaks, changes, etc., etc. But you know what you're trying to achieve is exactly why the app is in creation now, because that will help you get from point A to point B. It is a slow process, but rushing slowly actually gets you there quicker than doing great big jumps up in time. So yeah, that hopefully I've answered your question. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. But yeah, take baby steps. Those baby steps will get you there a lot quicker. I'll tell you a little analogy, and I love this analogy because I think it's really, really apt for new puppies, especially as they come into our homes. You want to teach, let's look at the analogy is you've got a baby kid, a toddler. Let's say you've got a toddler and you want to teach them to swim. Now, you're not going to take them up to the deep end of the pool, shove them in the water and say, off you go, kid. What's going to happen? That child is going to panic. They might be potentially drowning and they're never going to go near water again because it will frighten the life out of them. So if we have a puppy and we're trying to teach them to be home alone, that is akin to shoving them in the deep end of the pool and expecting them to learn to swim on their own. It's not very nice. It can create panic and it can create an aversion to being home alone, or in this case, the water. So if you did want to teach a child to swim properly, what are you going to do? You're going to take them in the shallow end. You're going to take them in gradually. You maybe even go in with them a little bit. You're going to teach them to be confident in the water. And that's what we want for our puppies. We want them to be confident when we walk out the door and leave them by themselves. So if we let them get to the point where they're panicking, that's obviously going to undermine everything you're trying to achieve. So hopefully that analogy works for you. But yes, jump on my website too, nestjones.com. I'll put it in the... I have a feeling this live's not working. People aren't seeing it because no one's watching. But nestjones.com is my website. Jump on there, go to the podcast tab, and there's an episode on hyperattachment. The other place you can see it is, just go there. That's probably the easiest way. Just go to the podcast tab there. So hopefully that answers your question. Another anonymous member, which was posted 3 days ago. I joined this group for some help with my 18-week puppy, please. I don't know if this is the same person or someone else. I think it's the same person. It's hard to know because it's an anonymous member. Chooses to fall asleep nearby us at night, but when we say bed around 9 p.m., she'll go into a crate downstairs in the kitchen. Yeah, it's the same person. So hopefully I've answered all your treats. Hyperattachment, yeah. I answered all your treats. I was reading treats and I said it instead of questions. Okay, yeah. Honestly, I think the app would be perfect for you and anybody else. So make sure you send me that email. I'll show you the address again, ness@nestjones.com, and put waiting list in the subject area, and that will be launched either the first week or the second week of December. And as I said, first 100 founding members will get it for the first 3 months at $29. So that's a pretty good bargain. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to end the stream now. I feel like I think people were going to join, but they haven't managed to. I don't know if there's some link breaking down, but hopefully people can watch the replay and they will be able to get something out of it. And you can ask more questions on the replay link. I'll be monitoring them. If I've missed something, if I haven't covered something, if you've got any more questions, maybe we can do another one next week. So see how we go. But thank you, and say hello if you're watching the replay. See you later.